17K watch hours. It blowed up. But yeah, I haven't got everything set up. I'm gonna build a log deck into it, and then I'll make some crossbars that I can take out. I'll tell you a funny thing that had us stumped for a while. So we put it together, right? And I was pushing it, and it kept getting in this one section where it was like really stiff. And I'm trying to figure out like what's going on. Why will this thing not push? And we started reading the manual. We started adjusting. We started checking. It's got, so you got a straight roller here that's rolling right on top. You got a side roller here and a side roller here. Kind of keeps it guided down this track. We couldn't figure it out for nothing. And finally, I just started disassembling. I started taking all these so I could see inside. I took all the panels off. And this back one, right here, sometime during the assembly or when they assembled it, there was a washer that had got over into here and was behind this roller. And when you'd roll forward, it would be free. But when you tried to back it up, it would get locked in. And we couldn't figure out for the life of us what was going on with that thing.
So have you got the Woodland Mill sold yet?
I haven't posted it yet, but I'm about to put it up for sale. I got it taken out of the building. Here's the bed for it.
There's the bed right there.
Yeah, I got to get...
So you could actually take this one and make it as long as you wanted to make it too. As long as you want. You just keep buying bed sections.
They're 5-foot bed sections. This is, it comes, I think it's 12 feet that it cuts. And then you buy a 5-foot bed section, you can cut up to a 17-foot log.
You've had, I mean, you've had a 40.
I've had.
What all the Woodmizer have you had?
I've had an LT15 as my first sawmill.
That's right.
Then I bought an LT28. We sawed cross ties on an LT28, 20, 25 a day for a half a year. Then we went to the, let's see, LT35 hydraulic. Wonderful sawmill. Highly suggest that one, especially when I had it, because in 2018 when I bought it, it was 21 grand delivered.
What's the difference between the 35 and the 40?
So the 40, here's the things that I know from my experience with Woodmizer. The LT40 standard and the LT35 hydraulic. The LT35 hydraulic has a smaller drive motor on the carriage that pulls the carriage back and forth, which does make a difference, because I found sometimes with the LT35 hydraulic, in certain scenarios you might have to, the little weight of that you could tell in a wide cut, just you leaning against it might have helped it a little bit.
Gotcha.
Where the LT40 had the bigger drive motor, I believe that was, you know, you can really stand back on that one.
I got you. That way, if anybody is curious, so you had the LT35, and what else did you end up having?
So after the LT35, I sold it because I found a package deal when I got my Cook's board edger with the AC36 Cook sawmill, which is basically an LT70. So that's a big mill. It was huge.
Yeah, that's pretty much the Mac Daddy of the...
That's the biggest AC or Cooks you can buy. And it was, that thing's like 30-something feet long. And we put it in under here and we used it, but it was used. And the trouble I had with it was the log turner, where it was welded up to swing off of its pivot point. That log turner all the time wanted to break free, because I talked to Robert down at Cook's. They used to use quarter wall steel tubing, and it was welded in at a point. Well, later on, they figured out that would bust out, and they went to 1/2-inch tubing, really heavy duty. And so I had to weld that thing a couple times. There is a pivot point on your belt, where it your belt tensioner. That broke free. I had to weld that. And there were several little things I felt like I was always working on. Well, then we got into that COVID time when the market crashed on sawmills, right? So when the market crashed and everybody was buying the new sawmills and they're 70 months behind or whatever, you know, they'd come up with, I posted it for sale just to see, would somebody pay me a ridiculous price? And I posted it for, I bought the edger and the sawmill combination together for $25,000. I sold the sawmill alone for $36 and kept the edger. So it was a no-brainer for me, and I knew for the small amount of sawing that I do, because I had the Corley sitting right there running beautifully.
That's the old school one over there.
I said, I just need a little push mill to run some edgings on and specialty stuff. So I said, if they want to give me that much extra money for that sawmill and I keep my edge, I'll let it ride.
So since I've been coming out here in January, I've seen a lot of change.
Oh,
because the bell saw you had over here, now it's gone.
Well, I won't lie,
now this one, the Woodland Mills, is going to be for sale, so you can contact Tyler about that if you're interested in that.
I'll buy and sell them for sure.
Right, you've been through a bunch. You like underwear, man. You changing them out regular. All right, so we hadn't done this or whatever. What is your, Tyler has a channel. What's your channel, Tyler?
It's Wallace Farm and Sawmill on YouTube. And we've been trying to grow our channel as we progress through all the different random changes. But we do a lot of sawmilling on there, and it primarily was just me recording my sawmill stuff. But I do so many odd activities that I said, you know what, I'm just going to record everything we do. And a lot of it is forestry related. It's mostly forestry stuff. And I do change a lot.
Homestead things, different things.
Yeah, like we do farm.
Do a lot of gardening right here too, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have our gardening on there. I did record per Tim's advice. I went on a fishing trip the other day, and I said, you know what, we'll record that too, and I got to get it edited and put up.
I think you would be highly. You ain't fixed that yet, man.
Yeah. You know what? I got to fix that, and the wind could chill out.
I know. You need to, that thing's moving, that leg down there, I can see it moving back and forth. You need to re-brace that a little bit.
I got to brace it this way.
Yeah. But you would be very beneficial to put some of your farming stuff on there too.
Yeah,
and just what you do as far as what you grow and how you grow it. I think it would go off very well.
We got a video coming up of our road we built.
Yeah, I see it over there.
I just started on it.
Yep.
But yeah, we changed talking about the sawmills real quick. I bought the bell saw for a little bit. That was another situation where I seen something, oh, that's neat. It's a good price. I bought it, I ran it.
Was it brand new when you got it?
No, it was, it's like a late 90s model. It was one of the later versions of bell saw.
Yeah.
They were bought out by Timber King.
Yeah.
And then Timber King, I think they manufactured them until 99 or 2001. Somewhere in that time frame, they quit manufacturing the little circle mills and they went full-on band mill operation. Which would be cool if there was a company out there that still manufactured a small circle saw.
Because that one ran off the PTO of your tractor.
PTO of a tractor.
Backed your tractor right up there to it, hooked it up to it, and went to town. That's what's so crazy is there's so many options out there as far as to cut wood, whether you want to push a chainsaw through it and do a chainsaw time mill.
Has all those
oh my God. Things. Or this type of stuff, or the circle mills. It's just you pick your poison of what you want to do.
There's so many options,
and it's hard to believe that all those different companies can survive too, because there's so many. I mean,
many choices.
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably Woodmizer is probably one of the top dogs in this kind of mill like this right here.
Being that I have bought and purchased all the different types of sawmills and brands, I will be completely honest to anyone out there. If you want to ask someone who's owned 8 different sawmills from 4 different brands, Woodmizer is the way to go. I ain't paid nothing from Woodmizer. But if you call any Woodmizer, I typically deal with Indianapolis, Georgia, North Carolina I think has one. There's 5 people there at each store that could answer any question regarding a Woodmizer. Whereas, some manufacturing companies, not to throw no names out, but I have like one I dealt with for a long time. If you didn't get that one guy on the phone, they would say, all right, he'll call you back. And, in my mind, I'm like, entire company, 5 different sawmills you make, and there's one guy that can answer the question. Woodmizer's not that way.
I've had, I got a little bit of connection with Woodmizer and their customer service. Yeah, you ain't gonna beat it. You ain't gonna beat it. I know for a fact there's been some people that's been in bind on bands, needing some new bands, and they've actually sent people out in trucks to meet them halfway or something like that to try to get them some bands really quick or something.
Woodmizer has a unbelievable warranty, and also Woodmizer has a 30-day try. If you don't like it, bring it back, and they 100%. I had them honor it for me one time on a little EG100 board edger. Just didn't fit for my application, but they 45 days later, he said, just bring it back, and gave every dime back.
So does any of the other bands that you've got, will they fit on this one, or is this one taking a completely different band?
Completely different. I ordered some today. If I ever had to give a plug out anywhere for anybody that are looking for bandsaws, blades, and you want to know where to buy them, there's a company in Arkansas called Kilgore Saw Company. Best prices, easy to deal with, and Kyle Kilgore will be the man you talk to. So good.
And your sharpener will work on this one that you've got, so you didn't have to change sharpener.
And I kept a Cook Saw manufacturing sharpener because they make the Cook's cat claw sharpener that is just impeccable. Runs perfect.
So what engine does this one have on here?
This has got the Kohler CH14.
Oh yeah. There's that thing was probably built down there in Mississippi. They've got a factory down there in Hattiesburg, and it was probably built down there.
That's the exact same engine as the HM130 Max Woodland, except that mill has the electric start version.
So you got to pull. You got to pull crank. So
but it does crank on the first pull.
Good. So if you're interested and you want Tyler's Woodland mills, you better act quick, right? Because it won't be here long.
Even the old bell saw,
because you hadn't advertised it yet. So this video gets out, it may already be sold by the time this video gets out.
It's gonna go quick because even the old bell saw, honest to goodness, I posted it on Facebook Marketplace, and 24 hours later, I sold it for the 100% asking price. Because apparently sawmills are still very much hard to get.
Push it there. It's got a good roll to it right there.
Yeah, the weight of the head actually feels like when the momentum starts, it carries itself.
That's right. It's not bad. How wide can you saw with this one?
I believe it's a 20. Is it 20? We get a tape measure here. I believe it's 22 inches between the guys, but I got a tape right here. So we know we can't get any wider than the guides.
That's right.
24 inches between the guides. So I would say, honestly, you probably could easily get about a 22 and a half, 23 inch board out of that.
Right, and that's all you want to roll over by hand too. When you cut a side on it, dude. And I mean, I know that's all you want to roll over as far as green wise.
Correct. They get too heavy. When your hand turn your logs and stuff, you definitely don't want them to get too big. I honestly think on manual mills, 24 inch and under is plenty.
Oh yeah.
You know, well, diameter of log.
Yeah, people have a strong misconception of wood, and you know the bigger stuff. They see me take that big stuff home all the time, and they go to fussing at me. You need to be taking it to the mill. When in reality, dude, the 24 inch stuff is your sweet spot at the mill, and that's all they want, because you do so much damage. I mean, it's so much work to try to deal with it, man.
Unless you're doing a specialty, you know, slabbing operation or something, there's a threshold of what a log can yield versus, you know, because the smaller logs do have a little more waste versus yield, but there's so much damage can happen on equipment and the aggravation of handling large logs.
Because you take a 24 inch loblolly pine, there's 24 inches on the little end, 24 inches on the big end, 10 foot long. When that thing rolls over and it hits on that flat face, dude, it shatters the ground. I'm talking about, and you start doing that log after log, you're gonna have failure somewhere.
And speaking
on this, with the way you've got this mounted, it's probably better on wood than it is mounted to concrete. Because if you're mounted with concrete, yeah, because there's no give on that.
Well, that's something I think you could even show in a video on the channel too. Is so you see this, we got full quarter steel everywhere. This bed was really heavy. If you come right here and look at the HM130 Max, and you will see a plain, clear difference. I don't know if that's, what is that, 1/8 or?
Yeah, it's not even 3/16.
Yeah, I think it's 1/8. Versus Woodmizer's bed is a full 1/4 inch American-made steel, and I believe it does make a difference.
This one was like $6 grand or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Like I think delivered $6,300.
What was this one right here?
This one delivered was $7,100.
Right.
So you're not talking a total
and
difference.
You didn't have to wait on this one really either, did you? I mean, you got it within a week, right?
I got it in 2 weeks max from date of order to now. So
that's what I thought. What did they say as far as their lead times on their larger mills? Are they still way behind on them right now?
Last I heard, which was last week, that they're hoping to be caught up on like this is their real small mill, their budget line mills. This mill here is a 2 to 3 week. They're just shipping these out. But you'll see in that video I do post, it comes palletized. So I think the reason they're getting these out is because these are made parts, punched all the same and packaged all the same. Sure. There's no build. You have to build this in tons of pieces. Because
it comes in everywhere you see a bolt. It's in a piece.
Yeah, like this singular rail.
And there's not just that rail, but you gotta look up under here. See, I was sitting in my truck over there waiting for you to get here.
Yeah.
And I glanced over there and I thought, that's gonna be a good question to ask him on that.
I have literally 12 hours in building this. Literally 12 hours of just reading books, pushing bolts. So,
because I mean, you figure there's 4 bolts right here. Yeah. All right, just in that. All right, so you got 4 all the way down, and then you got all these on the rail right there, plus the cross braces.
The head. Okay, everywhere you see black, all the different black pieces. Yeah. The orange piece was the only thing together. We had to put all of the black pieces together. It was the biggest erector set for a grown man I've ever seen. It was. See,
I'm past that, dude. I'm not. No, Tim's not. I've done enough Christmas gifts, play Santa Claus at night, and been pissed off, and it's not. No.
I almost want to pull my hair out on this one. I will not lie, because even the Woodland did come. The head was pretty much assembled, whereas here I had to do a lot of assembly.
Technically, I mean, you really don't. People don't need a LT35 or an LT40 of that money, because most people are not. They're gonna run them for a little bit, quick, fast, in a hurry. And this right here will do the exact same thing. It's just a little bit more manual labor than one of those goes. But I mean, look at the money difference between the two of them. Well, the one thing I like to
tell people, people will say, well, if you're gonna run a business, you have to have X, Y, Z.
Correct.
Hold up. I've been in business for 9 years, and I have owned so many hobby sawmills, and just laugh as I drive. Everything's I'm paid.
I've watched you from afar, and it's been interesting. Over the years, just kind of watching and kind of keeping up to see how your evolve has, where you started from to where you are now. And everybody's got to do it and kind of got to figure out their little sweet spots, what works for them, different strokes for different folks kind of deal, and so you've got it down to a pretty good science. It's like anything else with anything that anybody else does. And
you could always say, like the old saying, hindsight's 20/20. Yeah, if I went back to day one, there's things I wouldn't have wasted money on, and I know I didn't need, or
But we all, I call it the stupid tax. We all pay a lot of stupid tax.
I paid a lot of stupid tax. Some of the old knuckle booms I tried to run. Some of the, I shouldn't have done.
And you hear it and you see it all in the comments. It's like people talking about. There's a lot of comments when you unload that wood on my trailer. Talking about how you need a loader, and of course you got a loader, but I mean. These people point out, you need this, you need that. Well, needing this and needing that takes money to need this and need that, and a lot of times it's not about that. It's just making it work with what you got,
Well, one thing, I talked to a guy earlier today. It's the guy that actually cut my hair, which was desperately needed doing. And we talked about, he said, in business, I was telling him, most people are on a fixed income. If you work 40 hours a week, you're on a fixed income.
Correct.
Okay? You're making X amount of money for 40 hours a week, and that's going to equal X amount of dollars.
That's right.
Okay, when you run a business, you are not on a fixed income. I can make as little as $600 or $6,000 in the same 5-day period.
It's a flexible income, and most of the time it flexes the wrong way more so than it does the right way.
When we're talking about equipment, You have to live based off of your small week, not your large week. Just because I could have had this equipment here because I made 6,000 this one week. Well, wait a minute. Next week I might make 60.
So let me stop you right there. All right, you said 6,000. A lot of people, they look at that and they say, well, he made 6,000, but that's you. The people who don't understand this right here will never understand a business. That 6,000 is not all profit.
No.
And that's where a lot of people fail at is right there. They don't understand
gross numbers versus net numbers.
Right, and so you got $70-something right here, you know.
And I paid cash.
And you got not only that, but then you got consumables, you got gasoline going in, you got services going in, you got bands, then you got time, time in sharpening your bands.
One of my biggest expenses that is a continual expense that you are going to have in this type of business is logs.
Correct.
I am out hundreds, sometimes thousands per week in purely the material to make material and send it out. So it's a vicious cycle.
It's the old adage, it takes money to make money.
100%.
I had a guy earlier this week, good friend of mine, helps me a lot. He said you burn the roads up, and I just kind of smiled when he said that, you know. And so I was in some training for Monday and Tuesday, and it goes back to, and the people that don't understand this, that don't understand that $6,000 is not all profit.
Right.
It takes money to make money, and you've got to stay ahead of the curve all the time.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's a whole bunch of stuff, man. I mean, it's just stuff. But this has been a cool conversation right here. This is really good for anybody who's interested in this. But man, you could take this thing right here. Sure, it's not a LT35, it's not a LT40. But dude, you can sit here and you can saw freaking boards out of this thing.
I sawed
merchantable boards out of it.
5 2x8s in 9 minutes. So do the math on that. Tell me how many you can cut in the end of the day, and just do the math for your area. I mean, it just depends on what you want to put into it versus what you want to, get out of it.
We'll tackle that big behemoth over there. We'll cut it.
I went to move it the other day just so I could put that log pile in front of it.
Probably couldn't even hardly budge.
I had to get the forks under it and do like a wedge to shove it up.
We'll get it in half, and then I'll run out here one day with my cone splitter, and we'll bust that thing.
If we could bust that, now I could quarter saw it after it's busted and probably make beautiful lumber out of it.
Yeah, we'll get it busted and everything, because I've actually had to go to a mill and bust 2 monsters for them with a chainsaw.
There is a couple, it's a man and woman, that I cannot think of their page, but they're on one of the portable sawmill pages on Facebook. And there's a sawmill, I think it's in the kind of middle, maybe Ohio type area, I can't remember. But anywho, they go to this one sawmill who overstocks their oversized logs every year. And for about 4 to 5 months, this couple takes in that swing blade setup to that sawmill, and they saw all the oversized cottonwood for this particular sawmill, and it takes them like 4 months to get through.
So they just set up on site and go to sawing.
They will set them up a couple staging area, and that they'll bring in them huge logs and set that mill up over them.
They're using like a Lucas type mill?
Mill.
Lucas, yeah. Bailey's, boy, that was a big deal. And I've watched one of them things run in the guys that are really proficient at it, they make it look so simple and so easy. But dude, there's a lot going on up in there between your ears getting that thing right, man.
My buddy has one, and he lives in Ellisville, Mississippi, which is about 2.5 hours south of us. And he said there is no better sawmill for spitting out dimensional lumber, like 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s. He said
once you get it figured out and mastered, that's the problem. Because dude, can you imagine the stuff that you would jack up? Being that you're used to that over there.
There's no edging, because the machine itself actually is edging as it goes.
Well, it's in essence, it's nothing but a high power skill saw. Exactly. Is what it is, and it'll cut. So I mean, time you realize you've done screwed something up, it's too late.
Yeah, yeah. I would love to have one, but man, they're expensive to just need for the occasional oversized log.
That's right. That's good stuff. Well, I enjoyed that talk. A lot of people get a lot from this talk right here, man.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about those wait times. They do think the LT15 will be caught up by middle of this year, meaning you can call an order without an excessive wait time.
And get one.
Exactly.